Yeah. And place your hands in your seated position. Take your hands, you guys, lean forward. Try to open your pelvis a couple times. So that way when you sit back, either on your block or your heels or whatever, there's an openness to your roots. Then let the rising of the crown, allow the eyes to close and allow the crown to rise skyward as the hips continue a very natural, organic connection downward. And the energetics that I've been working with a lot this week are these kind of these routines of self-love. How this practice, how this virtual, time together, whether you're here live or, doing a recording, the intention is communal. And despite the distance, there is an energetic connection that stays with us. And so let your energy grow as you inhale, allow your ribs to widen and broaden, sideways, backwards, up, down, forward. And as you exhale, the goal is to actually keep the lift even on the exhale. I mean, to keep the central channel of your body long and open. There'll be this inevitable moment that you'll get tired or you'll want to collapse or kind of curl in, and that's our body's response when there's stress or when we get tired. And so the occurrence of this class, or the intention of this class that we do every week, is to maintain a full open self, especially in those moments where we want to get small. And so literally picture in your mind the energy of your heart and a beautiful, shade of green. You visualize a green color, and it's actually learning to grow. It's like working out a muscle by lifting a weight, right? We grow the muscle, the energy, the bigness of our own heart by giving it challenge, by giving it resistance. We start with self-love. We then move to energetically sending love out to your loved ones, family, friends. You then move energetically, the heart, sending love out to different, people that maybe you don't know personally well, but more like the acquaintances or the groups of people. Sending love. And then the last and hardest part of loving kindness, you guys, is expand that love all the way out to even the enemy, even the groups or the individuals that you're challenged by. Stay with the breath. And then let that love, let that energy grow bigger as you start to reach your arms straight out in front of you. Let the fingers curl in, create seed hands and hollow wrist, and start to move the ribs around. And so I invite you to make these really big circles. So beyond what a cat-cow movement is in a vinyasa format, but really getting like a big barrel of the ribs going to all the different planes. Kind of like a hula hoop. I sometimes refer to this movement like a hula hoop is around your body, and you're trying to touch the inside of the hula hoop with the exterior of the ribs. Now keep the arms really steady. Go the other direction. So the arms being steady are really important in this practice. You can even kind of flap the arms a little bit as if they were suddenly wings and you were trying to get going in the sky. When the arms have a uniform tonus, it's so cool. The ribs will actually have more opportunity to move. The opposite is this: if the arms are weak or slack, the ribs will actually tighten. They don't have as much space to open up into. That's why we like to do that. So finding the center, let the arms relax again. We'll get up moving in just a moment, but I'd like you to hold the ribs uniformly open on all sides in this final seat. So the experience is this: the heart isn't only open forward plane, it's actually all planes. Just like how the light of the sun or the light of a star in space is expansive, multi, all directions. For the process or the time frame of this class, our intention is to hold this space, to in fact not allow ourselves to diminish the energetics of the heart, especially when we're challenged, especially when we want to let go. Bring your hands to your heart, allow the head to bow, keeping the ribs super full on all sides. And again, we're exercising the heart muscle beyond just cardiovascular. That's a great start, just working the heart, using it. But mentally, you guys, think of the expansive quality of your own love. Then from here, let the eyes softly open as you stretch your arms, create two seeds again, and reach them up towards the sky. Open up your belly and start to tip side to side, more with your ribs than so with your arms. So these movements of Bowspring is less about what the edges of the body do, right? It's a part of it, but it's really getting first, step one, the heart to maintain a fullness on all sides in all different planes of motion. Yeah, and you guys can even push your arms a little more forward. So then when the arms push forward, your armpits do this, they hollow. There's suction cups there. And then the ribs can really go more free. We call this a seaweed sway. You start to glide like a snake, almost serpentine movement, letting the belly stay open as you go versus get narrow, right? Open, long tummy versus a tuck. Then we'll come to all fours and just make it really light. So as you bring the hands, open them up to domes, let the hips lift, place the fingertips only on the yoga mat, just the tips of your fingers, yeah. Sit back, have the hands pretty close to your knees, and again, go side to side. Bring the head a little lower and reach the back of your ribs more high. Sit the hips back as you go. The hips are super creased. Pelvic floor is really open. Yeah, that's good. Good, Emily. Go over to the right side. Stay there. Put the right hand flat on the ground. Start to pump and pulse open through your left side ribs. Exhale, sit the hips back. Inhale, rise up and tip the head to the right as the left ribs grow bigger. And do about 3 or 4 repetitions like this. I'll get on my yoga mat to help make a little more sense of this. Just on the left side, pumping and opening the tissues of the left side body. Yeah. Good. Now exhale, sit the hips back, go the other side by fingertips. So the hands don't have to push. Left hand to the left, right hand is in a dome, and you pulse, and I'll turn to face you if that helps to get a little more orientation of the shapes we're making. And the ribs are learning to grow on all sides. So another layer of education here. Notice the left arm. The side you're leaning more onto tends to collapse. So in fact, broaden that side rib more by hollowing your armpits and spiraling the elbow more out to the left. Exhale, sitting back. Hover the left hand to dome. Slide the hands back to all fours. Slide them forward and bring them flat to the ground. We call these spring hands. Go like this, just kind of pump the hands. They're light. Out of that, make the ribs bigger, then start to pull the belly forward, keeping the hands to the earth. Pull your armpits hollow and open and stretch your tummy forward and up, but keep the hips resisting backward. Exhale, root the hips back, pelvic floor widens. Inhale, pull forward and up. And you just do a handful like this, spring-loaded. And as you're moving, your goal, you guys, is to not diminish. So 3 main areas to have success in this practice have to stay full. One is the ribs that we started with the emphasis of class. Second are your hips. They stay open and wide. They don't tuck. Third is the head. The head is such an indicator of our health, right? We know when we're not feeling good, when we're depressed, our head dumps down, right? So it's a practice of evolution, of upwardness. Yeah, lift the right knee, hover the right leg. Open leg right. So that's by way of opening your pelvis, let the right knee move a bit out to the side. Good, now take the right foot and place it to the side of the mat. It doesn't have to come very far forward. Yeah, cool. Exhale, sit the hips back, open up the pelvic floor, keep the ribs on the rise. Inhale, pull the ribs forward and even the skull a little bit up. Yeah, and you're gonna pump that. Exhale, sit back, inhale, pull forward. Dig the right foot into the ground like crazy. Right, so imagine you wanted to like leave an imprint. That's how much I want you to use your leg. Why? Try this out. Exhale, sit back, put the right hand on the glute. This time as you pull forward, keep the glute mounding up. That's dynamic power. Yeah, do a couple more. Using the right hand to not only become smarter about how you move in space, but to help lift the pelvis. Lastly, if you like a lot of alignment details, I love to give them, narrow the right knee in towards you a bit. That'll help widen and steer more space into your pelvis. Crazy space, yeah. Lastly, you can tip the left ear to the left shoulder and really grow from the right hip to the right side of the neck. There's this curvy, archy, open space. Exhale, sit the hips back, return the right hand first, just put a dome hand. Then lifting the ribs, go to a spring hand, hand comes flat. Yeah, lifting from the glute, lift the leg, place the right foot, and then as the knee descends, keep the glute on the rise. Right glute's lifted, good. Other side, open the left leg out to the side. Yeah, ribs are light. Push wide through the sitting bones. So even try this, you guys. Narrow the left knee a little, bring it not so far out to the side. Narrow the knee to widen your butt more. So literally like you're way opening the pelvis like crazy. Now keep it open as you place your foot. Don't shorten the tummy, keep the belly open. That's power. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, pull forward and up. And just do a few like that, let the body warm up. Soften the toes and seek to feel the whole front part of your foot. We call this your paw in Bowspring. So it's everything but the heel, okay? Maximize how much of that is on the ground. So that means your left heel is really low, not high. Then push that into the ground, dig it into the earth, till left hand can now touch your glute as you pulse, and use the hand, we call it molding. And you're literally asking the lower part of the pelvis that tends to tuck under, especially when we're living in a lot of fear and stress, you're powerfully opening it up. Do a couple more, let yourself learn. Every pulse can be a little different. Emphasize something a little deeper that I'm teaching you. Open up the belly, open up your elbows so the ribs are so free. Even the right hand, you guys, is not heavy. There's a lightness in the load that we build in this class. Okay, sit back. Left hand first just comes to dome, so you're just gonna go tips of the fingers, okay? Lift the ribs, even as the left hand comes to the ground flat, lift the ribs up. Dig with the left foot, do a squat, wide-legged. Keep the ribs full and pump forward and back like I'm showing. You can swivel the feet more parallel, legs are ridiculously wide, definitely wider than the yoga mat. Broaden your elbows out to the sides, yeah. So good, Pauline. Belly open, float the head, float the ribs. Now keep your heels low. So check it as you pull forward. It's not your heels doing it. Root the heels as low as they can go so you're maximizing the paw, connection to the earth. And instead working a deep power. Yeah, cool. Bend the knees, swivel the heels in. Heels, the feet are at the diagonals. Walk back with the hands, get light. So you can actually do dome hands here. Sit way, way back into the hips. Go side to side. We get a little closer. So just go side to side. Pump the hips low and then up. Down and up. Swivel the feet more parallel. Let the heels land and then pump a few more times. Wide-legged standing forward fold. Soften the toes. So we do this thing in Bowspring called flex, bend, crease. And it's so helpful. We flex our ankles. We bend our knees and we crease our hips. Okay, so when you hear me discuss that, flex, bend, crease, that's what I mean. Flex the ankles, bend the knees, and crease the hips. Get lots of power. Sit low. We're going to stand up. Keep the ribs full. Tone your arms. Inhale, rise. Step narrow. More like a mountain pose stance. Yeah. And then bend the knees and lean more forward with your ribs. Spiral the palms more behind you, and then broaden not just the elbows, but the ribs. So it's a powerful shape. Then bring the arms to a chin-up bar, pushing elbows forward and ribs backwards. Good. Exhale, bend your knees. You guys sit deep into the hips, flexing the ankles, bending the knees, increasing your hips. Hold the sides of the head. We call this ecstasy. Fingers are not bound. You're just head, hands to the sides. Inhale, rise up, baby back bend, stretch fully. Do a few pulses like that as I give you some more hints of the bowspring. As you're at the apex part of that back bend, the hips don't suddenly lose their power. They don't tuck under. Similarly, the ribs don't collapse. So as you're pumping your bow, work towards maintaining the fullness of the ribs and the hips, even or especially as you spring up and away. Let the belly and the spine uniformly get longer. So the back bend is never a crunch on the low back. It's elongation, sustainably so. Next time you rise, take your right ear to your right shoulder. Put your right hand down there on the right leg for a little stability. Gaze down towards the right knee with your eyes and start to pulse, sitting back into the left hip as you exhale. Inhale, rise the left ribs up and away from the rooted hip. Okay, so as you're doing this pulse, it's not about how far you can go, right? It's not trying to compete, no way. It's can you build a unique, powerful separation for yourself of the waistline from left hip to left base ribs. Then start to turn and open towards the sky with your chest. So it's so cool. It's a side bend start, and then we twist. You're bowing and arcing to the right, and you're bowing and twisting to the left. Keep the right elbow wide so as to not lose the fullness on the right side of the ribs as you go. Inhale, coming to center. Bring the arms low, but keep the ribs high. Close your eyes and take a couple moments before we do the other side. So it's subtle. I love this therapeutic work because it's not fast, right? We actually have to kind of slow it way, way down, especially when some of the information is new for the body. And so you just simplify. Let the knees stay bent. Let the hips sit back. Let the ribs rise up and away to diminish any low back tension. It can go away so quickly with this stuff. All right, watch as you go to chin-up bar. Can there be less neck tension as you journey there? And instead, let it be more of the belly and the spine, lifting the arms up. It's more sustainable. The head is relaxed. Then as you hold the sides of the head, you guys tuck the thumbs just behind your ears. So the hands aren't on the back of your skull. They're literally on the sides. Narrow the elbows, make the ribs bigger. Exhale, sit down. Inhale, back bend through the center. Open up. Exhale, sit down. Inhale through the center. Now stay sensitive to your toes. That's it, Emily. Notice the toes, actually, they don't lift up in Bowspring. Alternatively, as I was saying before, we work towards a liquid, and you want as much tissue of the toes and the ball of the foot on the ground so you can root into that power. Then arc to the left side. Let the left hand come down to the left thigh for some stability, some support, and gaze down a bit towards the left knee. And start to pump this important separation you have to understand before you do higher level Bowspring is how to root the hips even as you're rising up. Yeah, the hips don't pop up with you, right? It's not just up and then down. You're actually pulling the two apart by way of pulsing. And we improve our skill at it by doing a repetition. And every time checking in, what are my toes doing? What are my knees doing? Did they lock? Did my tailbone tuck? Then start to turn open. It's a never-ending practice. It's so sweet. Start to broaden the ribs on the left, even as you twist and open towards the sky. Keep the left side full. Left hand is there to help support you to do that, to ensure there's width on all sides of your ribs. All sides. It's dynamic power. It means it's with us, whether we're laying on the ground, whether we're doing a handstand, whatever it might be. Inhale, make your way back to center. Bring the arms down by your sides. Let's try this out. Just let the toes lift. Actually, do lift them for a moment. Spread them rather wide. And now as you bring them back to the ground, do one at a time. Pinky, and then each toe until you eventually get to the big toe. And do it a couple times. Lift toes. And then one down at a time. And you start to build, I did this in a class with another friend the other day, you just start to build so much more sensitivity to the base. Then the power is higher. It's just like rock climbing. If we overgrip, we lose the fluidity of our climb. If we overgrip our toes, same thing in yoga. There's a liquid. Bend the knees, reach the arms out in genie, we call it. You just hold your elbows, okay? It helps the space of the arms make your ribs that big too, big ribs. Lean forward more, sit back, and then just lift one leg, put it down, and lift the other. And try to lift your feet, keeping the flex, bend, and crease. Right, so this is a big power. You gotta really sit the hips back, sit them wide. And I know you might feel a little silly, but you start to get lots of cool power here. The foot, we call it earth, air, foot. The foot doesn't dangle. As soon as the foot goes to sleep, your hip flexor in the front here will take over. And that's where we have a lot of imbalances in people with low back pain, etc. And so you just instead try to get into the butt. Lean more forward. Make it more like a chair pose a bit. Get the glute to actually lift the foot. The glutes lifting your foot. You have such deep muscles to maneuver and move your body with. Use the bigger ones. Use the powerful ones. Next time the right leg is in the air, hold it there. Open the arms wide like a V. Tone your arms, keep them strong, and then open the leg out to the side again. We did this on the floor. As the leg opens, make it less about how wide the knee goes. Make it more about the pelvic floor opening. So just try that a couple times. Narrow the knee closer, widen the pelvis. Open the knee by way of opening your pelvis. Your butt should get tired. If this is all in your low back and quads, you gotta get more into your bow. Sit back, glutes mound up. Then come back to center. Do some hula hoops, sways, shake it out a little bit. Intentional shake it out, not just kind of letting everything go. You're still working to hold this fullness. Let's try one more thing before we do the other side, because this really helps. Bend a bit forward, put your right hand on your glute, okay? Hover the right heel just a little bit off the ground. Dig into the floor till you feel this glute muscle engage and lift, not sink. Other side, hover the left heel just barely. Dig with the foot into the earth, hold the gluteal area, and ask it to lift up. Not to shorten the back. It lifts, and then the ribs actually move up, and away, and that's how we actually get more space versus crunchy in the back. Okay, back to center, arms out in front, arms up to the sky. We'll do the other side in just a moment. One more thing here. Bend your knees, sit back, push the arms forward, even though they're up, push them forward. Then reach the right ribs higher and then the left ribs higher. So you'll begin to arc like this. Let me adjust my camera a little more up. Begin to arc. It's not because the arms are going. It's your ribs are moving. Then try doing this with either one or both heels hovered in the air. Then dig the feet and let the glutes mound. Lean more forward. Lean more forward and really get into this wave of the back that's so powerful. Then we'll come back to center. Stand up tall, but keep the hips rooted. What do we do when we're scared? We tuck our tailbone under. We pinch our ribs in. So this is tough work, you guys. Stay big. Don't go to the default. Hold more space. Bend the knees, lean forward, rise the ribs up, dig, drag, hover the left foot. So dig, drag, hover the leg means it's active in the air. Open the leg out to the side, and then bring it back narrow. So you're practicing what we call square leg to the open leg in the Bowspring language. Square leg is when your hips are more neutral. Open leg is about the pelvic floor opening and then the leg following by way of a result of what the hips are doing. Our hips are so indicative of our health, both of the hips, but also our pelvic bowl, our low lumbar that curves helpfully out of it, the shape of the ribs. And then return the foot to the ground softly. So even as the foot lands, your glute is still going up. There's power there. Returning to side one. Dig, drag, hover the right leg. Step back, open the leg out to the side again. And then as you step back to tribal lunge, land so light. Arc side to side. So for reference, left toes are still facing the front of your space. And if you peek at your right toes, they're facing the long edge of your mat and even slightly narrowed in. Next time you come forward, put the left elbow on the left leg. Hold the side of your head with your right hand. Exhale, root the hips back, seed the left hand. Keeping the hips rooted, inhale, rise the right ribs. Gaze towards the front of your space, opening the belly. Again, exhale, rooting, bend the knees, crease the hips. Inhale, rising. Continue a few on your own. And another next level thing that you guys might try is every time you root, keep rooting, but go less back. Every time you rise, keep rooting, but try to get a little deeper into the back side bend. Yeah. So the complexity here is that there's a lot going on at once, and there's a combination. We're doing side bends and back bends, sort of all together. But at the heart of this, you guys, it really is simple. Despite the initial complexity that is inevitable with anything new, there is a simple primal nature to this practice. Next time you exhale, stay there, and we'll stand up, keeping the belly open. Put your hands on your hips and swivel that left heel out, and then adjust the feet so they're parallel. So it's a really powerful pose. Put your hands on your knees, lean in, take a bit of a rest. Even when we rest in this practice, we're still keeping the shape though. We still ask the ribs to hold a home of that expansive heart, a dynamic heart. Do some little twists, you guys. You can dip one shoulder and then the other. Even when we rest, we're actually training the pelvis to not close. And that's what we call the base of your central channel. When it's more open, when it's conditioned to be more open, when your practice is one that is empowering, it makes it so much easier to bring that into all the aspects of your life. So keep the weight back in your hips, but hover your heels. Now hover the heels, dig the feet into the ground, hold the back side, the glutes, put the hands there, and feel for lift, power. This is gonna help spring you up. Put the hands super lightly on the earth, dome at first, then slide them forward to spring hands. That means flat on the ground, but they're springy. Pull the ribs forward and up, keep the heels low, stretch your tummy. Inhale. Exhale, bend the knees, sit back, flex, bend, crease. Do a couple like that, or if you want to get a little air time, as you hop in a frog handstand, keep the action of your feet. The feet stay just as active as I was training you in the standing part of my class. And when you can hold the feet with integrity, even as you're hopping towards an inversion practice, the whole is so much more stable. Work to land light. Nice, Pauline. Really good, Emily. And then we'll bend the knees. We'll slowly stand. Keep the ribs full. Inhaling as you rise. Turn the left toes to the front of your space. Bend the knees and step to the front of your space, keeping the hips back. You're gonna try this one out. In the center of your space, before we do the other side, dig, drag, hover the right leg up. Just a square leg, it's so basic. Keeping the action. Sit back as you step your foot forward. Go to the other leg, put the right foot flat. Dig, drag, hover the left foot. Sit back as you step forward. Do a couple more paces forward if you have space. And then do a couple backward. As you're doing, we call it a walking kata. Kata meaning a short sequence is how we sequence Bowspring. Keep the ribs full on all sides. Guess what happens when we walk backwards? We want to emphasize more of the front heart opening. When you're going forward, it's easy to open the front heart and lose what's behind us, right? So as you're going forward, keep the backwards really full. Yeah, if your legs are tired, you're doing it right. On all sides, uniform. Make your way to the front of your space. Okay, take your time. Now notice your eyes. Okay, we'll just pause for a moment, do any little movements you need to, but notice the eyes. Gaze at the horizon with your head held high. That's one of my favorite things. Even hold the neck. It's my favorite thing that I've been able to help so many people with this practice is how to relearn where your eyes are in their sockets. And lean back, use the hands on the neck to massage, but also encourage the natural curve. You're actually pulling the tissues at the back of the neck in and up. And just use those sweeping motions. I want you to relax your jaw, and the ribs can even open a little more side to side. And you become, the eyes are gonna wanna shoot up, right? That's the nervous system's fight or flight responses, and nervousness, eyes go up. So let the eyes stay soft. The eyelids are almost like half open, but the body's energetics are still fluid. Okay, now keep that. Arms come down. Keep that with the eyes. Keep that with the ribs. Dig, drag, hover your left foot in the air. Super soft. It's kind of like you have a hacky sack on your left foot. Right? You don't want it to droop off. Open leg left by way of pelvic floor opening and leaning forward so the belly's open. Then the base leg sit back. And then as you step back, it's super light on the left foot. Yeah. Right toes are forward, left toes have a little angle, start to curve side to side. So this is tribal, and those of you more used to warrior two, the stance is not as wide, and both knees, especially as beginners, they stay bent. When we get more experience with Bowspring, we start to stretch the legs longer. But to understand the dynamics of this, it's really important to bend your knees. Okay, put the right elbow on the right leg. Let's start this side by left hand to the left hip crease where the groin is. This psoas muscle runs through here, so you want to actually ask it to root back. It attaches at the top of this thigh bone, the lesser trochanter. You want to root that back. Now out of that, before we do the pulse, keeping that rooted, try with your right elbow to pull the ribs away. And so that becomes such a deep psoas stretch when you start to discover. Let's try it. Left hand ecstasy. That means thumb by the ear, narrow the elbow. I see this a lot, really wide elbows. That's not going to work. You have to keep the elbows really narrow so the ribs are full. Then start to pump it. Pulse. Exhale, root. Inhale, rise. Exhale, root. Inhale, rise. And if I was with you in person, what I would do is I would literally hold your left upper thigh. I would help you to root it back as you grew and opened. This is called side coil, by the way, in the Bowspring. And you can pulse and you can pump and you can even hover the left heel. Get the energy of the paw more rooted, more dynamism in the whole leg, and then that power, it can reside into all different shapes, all different angles. Exhale, root. Inhale, rise to vertical. Hands on the hips, take a moment to swivel the right heel out so the feet are parallel. Hands to the knees, recovery pose. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths and be tuned in to what the nervous system's response is, right? And we tend to go to default. We tend to go to our patterns, especially under stress. So ask yourself, where are you narrowing? Where are you tightening? Where are you flattening? Instead, we're training the mindset to hold more space, to hold more power. Bend the knees a bit more. As the arms reach out, keep your neck soft, V-vector low. Bend the knees so deep, you're flexing the ankles, bending the knees, creasing the hips, touch dome hands to the ground. Yeah, it's light like we did in the beginning. Now slide forward to spring, make some space between the feet and the hands, and start to pump again, go forward and back. The last time I had you focus on your feet, which is important, don't lose that. This time focus on your armpits and the ribs. So as you're pumping forward and back, there is a tendency to pinch the shoulder blades together, or collapse, if you will, right? The heart on the front is open, the heart on the back forgot it exists. So now as you might either just do this or work towards some hops, keep the ribs full on all sides. Land light, no sound. Ribs full. Belly stays long. It's hard to talk and do handstands at the same time, but the more we do online yoga, I'm getting better at it. Yeah, Pauline. Sweet. Land the feet, bend the knees, fill the ribs, inhale to stand. Swivel the right foot to the front of your space, bend the knees, sit back to step forward. Sit back to step forward, good. Dig, drag, hover the right leg in the air. Cross it over the left knee, bending the left leg. Figure four, cross ankle squat. Hold your calf and literally squeeze it with your hands, moving the, kind of like we did with the neck, self-massage, moving the muscles towards the bone, squeezing, compressing. Okay. Now the feet again of this practice are really crucial. So now from the calf, take your hands down to the foot. I want you to curl the toes down. I hope my lighting's good enough. Maybe if I turn this way. And so you're creating a curve down of the foot, but keeping the flex of the ankle. And the toes might crack, and you're getting this rainbow spring loadedness of the foot. And just work it all the way from the pinky that tends to, again, our tendency of our toes is lift. And then there's a lot of tension right here on the side. It goes up into our hips. So you're trying to liquefy that tension. Cool. Final part, right arm's gonna go around the knee. Left hand can stay on the foot. Okay, so you're holding the forearm and the outer knee. I want you to push the knee and the arm into each other to widen your pelvic floor more. Push the knee and the forearm together. Make the belly get longer and more bowed, more curved versus hunched. Yeah, open the pelvis. Woo. Balance talking and doing yoga. Inhale, rise to vertical. As the right foot lands, how soft can it land? Yeah, step the feet back and forward a few times. Walking kata, make the ribs big on all sides. When we exercise the healthy energetics of the heart, it makes it that much lighter, that much stronger. Find center, dig, drag, hover the left leg, cross ankle squat. Now, as you go down, notice the tendency for a hunch. So the work is really important here. Push the knees forward, even the left one. Widen the sitting bones back and wide, and then do a little massage on the calf. Just like we did on the floor. And that's the cool thing too, you guys, if you're a little newer, and maybe some of this is sometimes frustrating when we're new and we're uncomfortable and doing something differently. It's the principles are the same. So let's on this side do a little different just to learn. Put the left hand on the left knee here on the front, on the medial side, the inside. The right hand can be on the foot. I want you to push the knee forward. Push the knee forward to widen the sitting bone back. Yeah, soften what you did and then do it again. So repetition by learning, it's the same thing I had you do on the ground. When I had you narrow your knee to widen your pelvis. That's a huge principle. Good. Now massage the foot and keeping the flexion at the ankle, work the toes, and you're gonna maybe get some cracks and pops. I always do, especially on my old injury side. And you're trying to liquefy the tops of the feet. When our top feet are liquid, think about when the feet are tense, the tension of the foot, it goes all the way up the front leg into our hip. That's why if we keep stretching our hip, it doesn't resolve because we forgot to start at the foot. Just like when you have really tangled hair, right? We don't start with the hairbrush in the middle, we start to detangle from the edges. Okay, last squeeze here. Wrap the left forearm around the outer knee. Okay. Push them into each other, pull forward, and then push out and try to widen the butt flesh. See how my tail went from a little bit of a tuck into more of a tipped in sacrum. That's what we're going for. So it's a really active hip stretch. Inhale, come back to standing. Left foot lands so light. And seaweed sway. Push two arms out in front and glide the ribs. And notice the awkwardness. It's so normal in this practice. Discomfort, confusion, it's okay. You're doing great. Let's take the crown hands. Hands come to prayer. There's a springiness to our prayer in Bowspring. It's not super flat. There's a little openness there for dynamism. And put that on the tippy top of your head, okay? Now use the hands pushing down into your skull to give you more resilience to press the skull up into your hands. Exhale, bend the knees, sit back, glutes are on the rise. Inhale, push up, head into the hands. Do a handful of these. Baby back bend again. Different hand variation. We have a few different really powerful hand variations we do in Bowspring to educate for our optimal shape. Now you guys already know soft toes. Try this with your heels hovering. You might have to slow it way down. And the reason I'm inviting you to do that is so you get it. When the heels are hovering, you can't dump into the low back, and that's a disengagement. And if we back bend on that, that's unsafe. So by hovering your heels and slowing it down as you go up and down, you have to use your butt. You have to use your hamstrings. You can't collapse on yourself. Good. And then reaching the arms forward, let the heels land, do a little recovery. We're about to do another back bend practice. You just shake out your back, do what you need. If you really need a tail tuck, do it. But ideally, the more you practice with me, you start to, the body doesn't need to go to that to recover. It's so empowering. So the next is a one-legged back bend. And again, so cool. You really learn about how to hold yourself up. So let's do it. Bring the arms up. Again, crown hands. So it's a soft prayer to the head. Bend the knees. Crease the hips. Dig, drag, hover the right leg. And try some back bending here, just like before. Now that you're on one leg, okay, you don't have to hover the left heel. That would be really hard. Maybe next week we'll do that. But the left heel gets lighter, right? There's a dig through the paw That helps to drag the energy up the back of the leg. Right leg is also equally active. You can really go for it. Base ribs full. Eyes are soft. Our eyes have a soft gaze, even as you go way up. Inhale, come back to center, land so soft, and move a little side to side. See how much you can move away from your center with the ribs due to the stability of the hips. Okay, you get more space when there's stability. If the legs are locked or asleep, you can't go as far. Literally, you can just try it, you know? So back to center, palms to the crown. Dig, drag, bend the knees, get into the hips, back. Hover the left foot. Exhale, root, inhale, rise. Notice your toes might want to lift and try to control, just like when we overgrip when we climb. Liquefy the foot. Almost imagine you don't have toes. You just have a super strong ankle, a flex bend crease that gets power into the hips that helps you spring load and open fully. Exhale, root, inhale, rise. And then as the foot lands and the arms release, the ribs practice staying full and bright. Full and bright. And then we're going to step wide, one foot and then the other, keeping the flex bend crease. Reach 2 seats out in front of you. Start to sit way, way back, keeping the belly open as you hinge at your hips. Go up and down 3 to 4 times. We're about to chill out on the floor. Notice the radiance of the heart. As you go down, there's still a lift uniformly up. As you rise up, there's still a rooting down. And as you can see, my hips, they never tuck. That's gonna put it all in the low lumbar. You gotta really use, like a sumo wrestler, the full capacity of your lower limbs rooting and the full capacity of the upper limbs rising. Next time you touch, bring the hands out, slide them. Spring hands, we call these. Step the knees back one at a time to the earth. Open the pelvis and start to move again through your ribs in your own way. Do some circles, anything that is broadening and feels like a workout for not just the physical of the heart, right? That's your cardiovascular exercise. That's great. But the energy of the heart, we're challenged by how to express love, both to ourselves and to our friends and beyond. It's a time to grow more resilience in these areas. Then the heart gets bigger and stronger. Make your way to your side. Let's go either side, actually, it doesn't matter. Lower the hip, lay down, and then roll onto your back. Roll onto your back. I'm not going to do it because I want to watch you guys so you're rolled onto your back. And center yourself on your space and bend your knees. And actually, yeah, like that, good, Emily. Put the feet kind of like you're going to do bridge pose, but you're not. Yeah. Now hover the arms up in the sky, straight above you, like we did standing a whole bunch. Curl the fingers in, seed hand. Yeah, it's like you're holding a stress ball in your hand, so it's not a tight fist. It's not super tight at all. In fact, there could be a little ladybug in your palm and it would not get smushed. Now I want you to push the hands. They're not really going to move very much, but again, like you're flapping wings, do some pulses, feet energetically towards your knees. Try to get your armpits more hollow, like that. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Now cross the right wrist over the left. Hollowing the wrist, push down with the right arm and up with the left, and start to pump the right side more open as you take the arms to the left, rolling on the back. Now pump the right ribs away from the hips. Other side, back to the center, cross your left wrist above the right, push down, get the left side ribs to actually broaden and roll more to the right side. On your own, a couple more times, cross over, go left, cross over, go right, go a lot slower than I'm talking. And you want to build what we'll call a curvy upper back, mid back, thoracic spine. This is your primal curve. It's the first curve you ever had in your life when you were in the womb, was this space behind the heart. And that's a large, huge piece of what we do with this practice, is opening that Pandora's box up. It's like suddenly having light on the dark side of the moon. Making your way to the center, relax your arms, stretch your legs out one at a time, similar to Shavasana. We're gonna add one more quick thing here before we rest. Take your hands, you guys, and actually one glute at a time, untuck. So get the right glutes, get the left glutes, and do it once or twice. And you might notice, I know for me, there's one side it just still wants to tuck, no matter the training and the opening. So you got to be really sensitive, right? It takes some thought to feel. Then once the butt feels rather open below, as you're laying on your back there, put your hands on the groins. This is like the front part of your pelvis area. And just holding that space, encourage, you can even push a little bit if you can, push down on the groins, ask them to root. Earthbound groins, open pelvis. Then out of that, keep the hands there and open your belly more. Arch your back. Yeah, let the belly really open. So the low lumbar is not flat on the ground. There's a natural lift. Good. Now keeping that, reach the arms out super wide as you like. Big wings. Lift them just an inch off the earth. Reach them as wide as you can. You can even roll a little bit on your back again. Actually go a little right and a little left and make the ribs bigger. They roll away from the hips. The space of the belly gets longer. You can arch the back even more actively here. Then as you come back to center, good, Pauline, let the arms relax. They can come a little lower by the hips, or you can even do a cactus arms. Okay? And we just rest here with the indication that it's not just resting, but you're assimilating a lot of new information probably. And it might not be comfortable, right? It might trigger. This is a triggering practice, because we really work the vulnerable parts of the body. We ask the body to not default to conditions of what we're humanly built to do when we're under stress. And so it's a deep thought process, a very considerable awakening of our natural shape, of our powerful shape. Keep the throat open, you guys. Notice if the chin tucked. And so the central channel, which goes through the radiant heart, it's open on all sides and it's big and it's spacious. Allow the breath to be very soft and relaxed. Let yourself notice the coming and going of your thoughts. Let go of your attachment to time. Let your mind explore the sensation of space, fullness. This time is yours. I invite you to stay another 5 to 10 minutes if you have the time in your evening to do so. Reach out anytime, you guys, any questions, anything at all. I'm here. I'll be leading a noon vinyasa tomorrow for Mesa as well. So I hope you'll join, do a little vinyasa with me. And beautiful evening. Take good care of yourselves. Drink lots of water. Namaste.